Welcome back. The chances you or someone you know will suffer from a heart attack is pretty high. I know a few people myself. And the symptoms aren't always obvious, so being familiar with some of the lesser known warning signs can be a real lifesaver. So joining us now, our doc on call, Dr. Brian Stanton, here to answer this week's question. It comes from our viewer, Jordan, and he asks, I was told I may have an anginal equivalent and was referred for a stress test and cardiology. What does this mean? I have never had chest pain.
Yeah, so angina is actually the Latin word for to choke or throttle. So it's one of those not so pleasant words in Latin.
Yeah.
So, it's used to define or describe pain, and most often pain associated with the heart. So some of the most common symptoms we see in these types of things is the pain. That's what you would assume would be correct.
Right, the shooting pain down the arm.
Absolutely, the elephant sitting on the chest.
Right.
It's pain, but it's the most common one, but I wouldn't have had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and years in school to learn about the most common presentations if everybody presented like a textbook. So unfortunately, presentations, especially of the heart, are often the minority of cases when it comes to pain, especially in a time when people are living longer with multiple chronic conditions that make atypical presentations actually the typical presentation. So in this case, anginal equivalent means a symptom that is not chest pain, but represents the exact same thing, represents symptoms associated with heart disease and potentially a heart attack. They are symptoms that are considered to be symptoms of low oxygen flow to the muscles of the heart.
Okay, so what are some of the more common of these anginal equivalents?
The more common of the uncommon.
Yes, there you go.
One of the most common is shortness of breath, especially with activity, what we call dyspnea on exertion. Most people will notice that they are becoming short of breath with minimal exertion or during activities they recently tolerated. Also diaphoresis, that means sweating. This is sweating when you're at rest or with minimal activity, not when you're out working really hard. Fatigue is also very common. People will feel wiped out. They're tired very easily, feeling like they have to nap, even on days where they don't do very much. Finally, decreased activity tolerance. People will mention that they can no longer walk up the steps or get fatigued on short walks. The key here is the change from your baseline, and it's often rather abrupt. This is only scratches the surface, though, because it could almost mean anything.
Well, and that's the thing. You're almost saying that you need to be vigilant, and if there's a sudden change in any way, you need to get checked out, right?
Well, you need to be vigilant, but you also don't need to be a hypochondriac when it comes to being really wired up about it. Some of the weirdest things I've seen, I've actually seen somebody who only had pinky pain, an elderly woman that had aching pain in her finger, and it actually was a heart attack. I've had folks that have had everything from just that they needed to take a nap or aching in their jaw or a toothache or something like that. The key here is, though, if you have an abrupt change, concerning symptoms, especially when it comes to loss of shortness of breath or loss of energy, you need to get it checked out. This is a good reason to have a close relationship with a primary care doctor that can keep an eye on you, especially if you have risk factors or other things that are going to make you present atypically, such as diabetes, which is very common for making it atypical. And unfortunately, for you guys, females are going to present atypically more often than not.
Okay. So pain in the pinky, huh?
Pain in the pinky. I wouldn't say that if you slam your finger in the door, you're not having a heart attack.
But if it's out of nowhere,
if it's
and
weird,
it's bugging you, get it checked out.
It worried her enough that she came into the emergency room, so it's one of those things that it's a difference. You'll notice.
Listen to your intuition, too. All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Stanton.
Thank you.
If you have a question for him, you can go to his Facebook page. Just search for Stanton MD, and you can ask right there. We're back with more for you coming up after this.